The storm rolled in with a low growl, turning the afternoon sky the color of steel. At a roadside stop, rain beaded on chrome and leather, while a small group of bikers warmed their hands around paper cups. Doors whooshed, tires hissed, neon flickered. Then the sound cut through everything. A child's panicked cry, sharp and bright as glass. A little girl stumbled from the curb, breath hitching, words tumbling. "Help!" She pointed across the lot with shaking hands, pleading for someone to see what she saw. Every head turned. Engines went still. If you believe kindness still changes lives, stay till the end. This story will remind you what courage really looks like. They called her Lena on the road. In town, she was just the woman who ran the quiet corner of a garage that smelled like oil and pine cleaner, where she'd fix a brake, light and throw in a windshield wiper if someone looked stretched thin. Weekends were for long rides and small causes, toy runs before the holidays, canned food deliveries when the shelves ran bare, a helmet fitting at the elementary school each spring. She liked the whir of a torque wrench, the knock of boots on concrete, the way the first miles of a ride shook loose whatever the week had glued down. The crew that afternoon was a small circle, folks who had seen enough road to know that speed is not the same as hurry. They'd checked the radar, noted the storm, and pulled into the roadside stop for coffee and a plan. Lena took her coffee black and her kindness quiet. She believed in showing up more than she believed in speeches. The lot held regular life in miniature, a delivery van idling near the loading bay, a family minivan with stickers that told a story in little pictures, a sedan with a missing hubcap and a month of dust. Inside, the hum was routine, a cashier greeting every person the same way, a clerk restocking, a security camera blinking its steady red dot. Nothing about the scene suggested it was about to become a test of what people do when fear walks into the open. Lena had learned to read rooms, the tilt of a shoulder that means someone is bracing, the rhythm of a voice that means someone is swallowing tears. She noticed details because details save time in a shop and sometimes save something bigger on the street. So when the door flew open and a little girl stumbled toward the bikes, she set her cup down before the coffee had time to cool. She didn't rush because rushing can trip you. She moved with purpose because purpose steadied everyone watching. The girl couldn't find enough breath to make a sentence, but her hands found the words. She pointed past the gas pumps toward a covered strip of stores, then flattened herself into a smaller version of a person, flinching at a sound only she seemed to hear. Lena knelt without crowding her, meeting her eyes at a level where fear has fewer places to hide. Over the girl's shoulder, Lena caught the scene. Under the awning, a woman pressed near a pillar, shoulders tight. A man close, too close, with anger sharpening his movement. No blows in that second, but you don't wait for damage to decide what you're seeing. The crew made a quiet plan the way practiced people do. One rider stepped back toward the entrance and told the cashier to call 911. Clear and calm, describing the location and what they could see. No embellishment, just facts. Another stayed with the girl, steadying her breathing with a simple cadence. In through the nose, out through the mouth, like blowing out birthday candles. Lena walked toward the awning with hands visible, palms out, stopping at a distance where she could be seen without being a threat. Presence can be prevention if you know how to use it. Around them, the store's routine stuttered and went quiet. A couple of shoppers hovered in the doorway, phones half raised, unsure if filming would help or hurt. Lena's crew filled the space with something better than spectacle. Witnesses. One noted the sedan's license plate. Another clocked exit and kept the path clear in case someone needed to move fast. No one shouted. No one postured. They made a circle out of visibility and care. The man's voice rose sharp on the edges, and his arm jerked in a way that promised worse. From across the lot, Lena's chin tipped, barely, and a rider relayed the update to dispatch, adding every detail that might matter to an operator who couldn't see the rain or the way the woman rubbed her wrist. Like it had learned a new language of pain. The seconds turned elastic. Even the storm seemed to hold its breath. A fragile hush followed the worst kind of threat, a promise hissed through teeth. The girl squeezed the rider's hand and made a tiny sound. That, more than anything, snapped the scene into a new shape. Lena's crew shifted subtly, one to the far side where sightlines were poor, One to the edge of the awning where a shadow could hide a dangerous step. The line they drew wasn't a wall. It was a warning to the moment itself. We see you. Help is coming. Do not make this worse. Blue washed the wet pavement before the siren arrived, painting the world with the color of relief. 2 patrol cars glided in, quiet and quick. An officer took the dispatch. Details from the rider without breaking eye. Contact with the scene. Another moved to the woman. Speaking low, body angled to shield, hand light and visible. The man's bravado faltered. Under the weight of witnesses and the unmistakable choreography of people who do this for a living, Lena didn't step into the center. She didn't need to. She held the perimeter with a steadiness that says, stay. The rider with the girl gave the officer the plate number and the exact words he'd heard shouted, neutral, exact, helpful. The child used the borrowed steadiness to breathe. A store clerk, pale but purposeful, brought a first aid kit and a bottle of water. Someone found a blanket from a car and draped it over the girl's shoulders, like a small soft shield. The officers did the work, separating, assessing, and asking questions that carved facts from chaos. An advocate on the radio linked the woman to resources, a place where help doesn't require explanation. One officer asked the riders for space to move the woman to a quieter spot. They opened a lane without being told. The way you do when teamwork is the only thing that makes sense. The man tried to leave with his shoulders squared like a dare, but the squared shoulders met procedure. A request for ID, a check. The gravity of consequences arriving in sure-footed steps. The air that had felt like glass when the girl ran across the lot began to soften into something breathable. When the woman finally met Lena's eyes, it was from a safer distance, with an officer and an advocate beside her. She didn't mouth thank you. She didn't need to. Her shoulders had returned to their rightful place. The girl's grip loosened, replaced by the shaky, unremarkable boredom. Kids get when the worst is finally over and the body wants to do ordinary things again, like sip water and ask about the rain. Strength had not looked like a brawl. It looked like a calm body, a phone call, a circle of people standing where they were needed until help arrived. It looked like choosing to be seen so someone else didn't have to survive alone. Afterwards, the lot filled back in with regular life. The storm lightened to a patient drizzle. The officers drove away with reports to write and follow-ups to make. The store manager printed a small sign by the register, safe space, with a number beneath it and a quiet promise. We'll call for you if you can't. The clerk who had brought the first aid kit signed. Up for a brief training the library offered on how to help without harm. The crew finished their coffee, colder now, and found they didn't mind. Lena wiped rain from her gloves and watched. The girl drawing a receipt with a free pen from the counter, 2 stick, figures holding hands, a big motorcycle with impossibly wide wheels, and a rainbow that didn't exist anywhere but the page. The woman tucked the blanket around her child, then around herself, as if for once she could be the second person cared for, not because she was weak, but because everyone deserves to rest after holding up the sky for too long. Word spread in the small, quiet way that helps rather than hypes. The shop across the street added a sign like the stores. The delivery driver taped a hotline number inside, his sun visor. The riders added witness, call, protect space to the mental checklist. They carried with tire pressure and fuel stops. None of it was dramatic. All of it mattered. Here's what stayed with the people who saw it. Strength isn't loud, and kindness doesn't need a stage. The best kind of help makes room, keeps watch, and hands a person their dignity back without demanding a thank you. That day didn't turn bikers into heroes. It showed what happens when people choose to be useful at the exact moment usefulness matters most. If this story moved you, share it to keep compassion alive and remind someone out there that calm, courage still exists.